overall impressions after tonight?
I think there's a bunch of things we got to clean up. I think what tonight was not what we expected and below our standards on offense. You know, and there's some things we got to clean up. We've been playing a lot faster. It's been a lot more explosive plays. We looked like we came out with a night after a long day, and so it's going to be a good opportunity to get after these guys a little bit and let them know, regardless of what time we're practicing at, we got to get them go.
Your take on the quarterback play?
Hard to tell on tape yet. You know, when these guys are still in gray jerseys, I've got such a asterisk next to everything when they're not live and with those quick whistles. But we got to take care of the football, number one, which we know that. We've got some big plays. We've got some plays we missed. But I think overall these guys are understanding the scheme and getting a little better every day.
How do you feel the offensive line? I mean, just in general, the communication and just running your scheme and everything and just leaving the offense's perform so far?
Yeah, good. I mean, the totality of the camp so far after 13 days has been probably probably above where I expected with all the stuff we do. It's still brand new to a lot of guys. You know, I think the chemistry with a lot of those guys up front. You got a few guys that are in and out of rotations. You start to see now where the guys that are starting to move up in the ladder a little bit are starting to communicate and gel. That's really important. And some down the line guys, you got to see where they flash and where they're panning out after drinking through a fire hose on kind of their first training camp in a lot of ways. So I really like the chemistry of the offensive line and what they've done with the offense so far.
How's the pass protection been?
Good. Camp's been awesome. These guys have done a good job, and our defense does a heck of a job. We know that. They bring a lot of pressure. They do a heck of a job up front. They've got some experienced guys. And so we've asked a lot of those guys in this first 2 weeks of camp is a lot of stress on protection. You know, you don't stray away from it in camp. That's an opportunity to see it. So the pressures have been awesome. We got to make sure we clean it up and get ready here in 2 weeks and get ready to rumble.
There were a few flags out there tonight. What do you kind of attribute those flags to offensively?
A few flags.
Yeah, like penalty markers.
Yeah, I got to wait and see what they were. There was a couple there that was cadence oriented, I think. There was a couple false starts. I don't know exactly who they were on. Hard to tell with kind of the way we were running it today with operationally. But we've done a good job so far in camp of being on two. And so obviously setbacks like that can't happen in critical situations. So excited to see it, actually get back to it and get after them a little bit. It's cool.
How's the talent of the wide receiver compared to previous stops that you've been?
I'm excited about this group. There's some experience and some new guys. They're in a new system. Places like Oregon, places like Oklahoma State, places like Cal, NFL. I'll exclude the NFL stuff. There's been some real receivers those last places we've been at, and this group's really talented. They've been working their tail off. Coach Ward's been awesome with them, teaching them the details. I think just more and more time experience in the system with the quarterbacks and timing. I'd be remiss to say that we don't have a really special group moving forward as we build this thing.
Kind of piggyback off that, what about the excitement for the running back game as well? Does it seem like the young guys are really grasping what you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, that goes probably with the same question really the last couple places we've been, the Oregon backs and the Oklahoma State backs and the Carsons and the Justice Hills and all those guys we've had. I mean, there's some real guys. These guys are right there. I keep going back to the first time we put both those offenses in and trying to get a feel for where we're kind of at, because I just kind of still new, feeling it out. That room's deep. They're explosive. They're dynamic. They're tough. And 2, 3, 4 deep guys that you can really count on. And Relik's not even out there right now. And so I'm really excited about what the backs can do in the offense.
How do you feel the helmet communications coming along?
Good. It's been great. It was awesome to go up for the first time and kind of get the sense of it. A little bit different because me and the defense are talking at the same time in the same box, which usually isn't what you got. Usually I'm talking and they're communicating, but right now we're both yelling over each other. But it was awesome to get the clock, hear some of the refs' comments about timings and subs. But the comm is awesome. It's been really good for us.
What are the attributes of Sam Levitt that stand out to you?
Number one is work ethic. His work ethic is really, really at a high level for a young guy. For guys who played 4 games and only a couple years into college, he's really, really demanding himself, really detailed. I'm incredibly proud about the way he comes out and works every day. I think that part in it as a quarterback is the number one pillar, is a guy who's really detailed and likes to put in the extra time. You got to have some dark hours as a quarterback. It can't be the normal hours, You got extra work you got to put in, and he does it. You'd be hard pressed to find him not in the top 10 workers in the whole building.
With those offensive weapons you guys added post-spring, along to Ultimate Castle and McLean, how did you expect them to come along and get used to the playbook at the start of camp, and where do you feel like they are at in that sort of process?
Yeah, those guys are exciting. I think that's the new thing in college football is the free agency market, and all of a sudden you get new guys and waves of guys that you got to put right in. And Alto and McLean are just two examples of guys that you think you got evaluated the right way on film as you've looked at them. You think they've got traits that you really like, and then you got to get out there and put them in the offense and see how fast they pick it up. And both those guys have done a really good job. They've been at previous stops in 2 other playbooks, and to have them come in and pick it up. Malik was awesome. Malik has had an awesome camp so far. Alto's picking it up as another back who's deep in that room. So I think both those guys are going to be guys first that here now and in the future that are going to be pretty special.
And Mateer too.
Yeah, and Mateer's, another guy at tight end that, you find you've got 3 or 4 different tapes at 2 different schools, and you find a lot of things you really like, some things maybe that you're like, wait, what happened here? And you got to be able to dust that off a little bit, give him a clean slate, and see what he does in your offense, and see how personality he gets reflected in your group and in your locker room. And all 3 of those guys we mentioned, including Mateer, is just unbelievable additions to our offense.
Thank you.
You got it. Have a good night, guys. Thanks.